Achilles heel. Romo. Little pump and go. Fired! Touchdown! Terrence Williams. Romo comes in and Romo scores.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, we're talking about you-know-who, Tony Romo. Alright, as you can see in that first clip to start the video, that was Tony Romo's last pass. Or could it have been his last pass as a Cowboy? If you remember, that was the last pass that he threw, and it was a touchdown to Terrence Williams. Alright, so automatically, when we're talking about Tony Romo, you already know the deal. It's cap mode time, alright? So this is getting serious. Cap mode time, alright? So we're talking Tony Romo. Alright, so what is all the fuss today? Let's look at this slide right here, okay? So we look at this slide here. We're talking about Ed Werder. He kind of got Twitter on fire today by this tweet earlier today in the morning. He says, source says Tony Romo expecting release, not trade, and believes he can start as QB 2 to 3 more seasons despite turning 37 and injury history. All right, so that's it. So the narrative, is it moving away from trade and now an impending looming release? That's my question. All right, so a lot of fans have been predicting, you know, where his landing spot could be, including myself, what we could get for him. So we have all these rumors. They're starting to come on. Last week we talked about Lock and Four, talking about they could garner a third round, maybe as high as a second round pick. So you kind of have to take these rumors with a grain of salt. But this coming from Werder, you know, he's covered the Cowboys for a while there locally, unlike Lock and Four, who's more of a national guy. So you have to wonder if this is where this is heading. Is this the first domino to get this out there? Because you have to wonder, is Jerry Jones gonna do a gentleman's deal with Tony Romo? And what I mean by that is, are they gonna just release him and say, okay, Tony, we're gonna release you, but we don't want you to go to these certain teams, okay? So, for instance, the Redskins or NFC rival, maybe they would say, maybe Jerry would say, we're gonna let you go, but you gotta go somewhere to the AFC. All right, so a lot of speculation. If this rumor is true and has legs to it, we'll know here in a couple of days. I would imagine. I don't think that this thing's gonna drag on much longer. Like I said, this could be the first domino that falls. All right, so, and then we have another tweet here. There's more to this, all right? So if you look at this slide here, Jerome Solomon, he covers the Houston Texans there in Houston, a local reporter. All right, he's saying, and part 2 from Ed Werder on SportsCenter, the team that Romo seems focused on right now is the Houston Texans. All right, so this is another part of this rumor. You know, we don't know who the source is or how reliable this rumor is, but Ed Werder has been kind of hit and miss with stuff. Sometimes he hits it right on the head, and sometimes, you know, his rumor turns into something real. So we'll keep an eye on this. But as far as this right here, the Texans, that was what I talked about last week. I think the Texans make the most sense for Romo. Whether it's a trade or if he were to get released and he wants to pick a spot, which, you know, supposedly, allegedly by this quote here, Romo would like to go to the Texans. That would be good for him. Texans have a really good defense. They have a good running game with Lamar Miller. Young receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is good. But like I said, the Texans, if they get Romo, they got to upgrade that offensive line, because he won't make it past, who knows, the first game. You got to give Romo protection. You got to give him protection, max protection sometimes. So they got to clean up their tackles, their guards. They may want to pick up Ron Leary from the Cowboys, add him. That'll boost the running game, and he's a solid blocker in all phases of the game. So the Texans, they got to think about this. Romo needs to think about where he wants to go. but it looks like his eyes might be on the Texans of all places. Okay, so that's that where that's at. So as far as how would this affect the cap? Let's say the Cowboys release him here. Let's say this is the first domino, and then out of nowhere, Romo's released. All right. So how does this affect the cap? All right. So let's take a look at the slide right here. So right here, we're looking at Romo's contract. All right. So for the dead money, if you see here on the right side of the screen, I selected I would imagine the Cowboys would, if they release him early, they're gonna use the June 1st designation. Okay, so what that means, if the Cowboys were to release him and they use the June 1st designation, they would get $14 million in cap relief here, cap savings. So $14 million, but the caveat with that is the $14 million, you can't use it now. You wouldn't be able to use that $14 million until June 1st. So once June 1st comes, that money becomes available to the Cowboys. With that, obviously they can sign all their rookies. Some of these dreadful contracts like Tyrone Crawford, they might not have to be redone after all. Maybe this guy has a second chance. Okay, so but still, that Crawford contract, like we talked about in the last video there, they gotta do something about it. Regardless, it's too high. But if this could give them some relief as far as that. Also, flip this money, and like I said, bring out the Brinks truck for Zach Martin. Okay, this guy, I can't say it enough. He's gonna get paid, and if you have this money here, you can get that contract done. Like, don't worry about lingering the 5th-year option. Just go ahead and sign them up. Get the deal done, okay? We know Zach Martin's going to be a Cowboy for life, but, getting this contract out of the way before the season, there's no distractions, nothing like that. Not that would distract Zach Martin. He's a solid guy, stand-up guy. But, yeah, so the ramifications of letting Romo go, the cap ramifications, Now, if they were to release him and not designate him as a June 1st cut, they'll still get some cap savings, but it'll only be $5 million. All right, so even with that, if they were to trade him $5 million, release him $5 million, so they could use that money for another player, a mid-tier guy probably. But that's it, man. That's the latest rumor on Tony Romo. You have to wonder, okay? Is this the first domino? We're coming up on 2 weeks to the combine. And like I said, if there aren't any other further rumors, they will ramp up. The whispers will keep coming, and the trade winds, they will be in full force. All right. So let me know what you guys think. Okay. What do you think Jerry Jones is gonna do? Because ultimately, this is gonna be a Jerry Jones call. This isn't gonna be a Jason Garrett and everybody like that. This player has very sentimental value to Jerry Jones. They're very close. So do you think Jerry Jones is going to trade Romo and send him somewhere that maybe he doesn't want to go? Or do you think he'll try to trade him to somewhere he wants to go? But what do you think? Do you think Jerry Jones will release him with a gentleman's agreement? Like I said earlier, where he can pick wherever he wants to go? Let me know what you guys think. What do you think ultimately is going to happen to Romo here? And when do you think we're going to find out? Let me hear your opinions on this. Do you think this is an impending release? Or do you think this is going to come down to March and when the trade kickoffs? All right. So let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys. Coming up here, I think tomorrow I'm gonna have another draft video, so keep an eye out on that. We're gonna cover a lot of the mock drafts that are coming out. Some guys have asked me when I'm gonna do my mock draft. For me, typically over the last couple years, I do my first mock after the combine's over. It's just something I've always done. But yeah, so keep an eye on these things coming up. And of course, if we hear anything else on Romo, we'll talk about it here immediately. Okay, so thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for visiting.